welcome to the Win Again Clubroom. I'm super thrilled to have you all here. I've got 4 incredible athletes. Well, I've got lots of athletes in here, but 4 amazing USA Softball Olympians in the house, or in the clubroom, which is not my house, it's my clubroom. But anyway, welcome. Just a couple quick announcements to throw at you. Number one, many of you have been to several of these events, but some of you have yet to been to one. But basically what we try to do here, it's all about connections. It's all about everybody elevating each other in one way or another, whether it's your career, your business, whatever it might be. And I encourage everyone here today to offer up their network, to offer up any ideas they may have, anything that can really help the other person boost what they're doing. And we've got such a fantastic variety of backgrounds today, different people who own businesses, again, current and former athletes, just a lot of fantastic folks. When I talk to people about being involved with coaching, and more specific, people need help with their careers or their businesses, a lot of times people will say, well, I don't really need any coaching. What do I need coaching for? Even the top athletes on the planet today, even LeBron, any of the baseball players, football players, doesn't matter. Everybody needs coaching of one way or another. Everybody needs a mentor. Everybody needs somebody who can say to them, listen, I've got some great ideas for you. What I really like to do, I'm from New York, I'm super impatient. And when I talk to somebody about what are their goals and where do they want to really be, to me, it's all about being proactive and not reactive. What I mean by that is really going after what it is that was going to absolutely thrill you to be up every morning, something that will compel you, excite you, and reward you, some way that you can not only do something you love doing, which I believe everybody deserves to be doing, but also make a fantastic living doing it. So at any point, if you want to have a conversation with me about that, I'd love to talk to you, because it's something where, whether you use me or another coach, all of us deserve to be absolutely excited, energized, fired up, and really looking forward to the next day and the work that we do. Thanks again for coming here today. And batting first, I'm going to start with Kat Osterman. Kat Osterman is from Texas. She attended University of Texas. She pitched only 20 no-hitters, 9 perfect games, was in 3 consecutive, I think it was, those Women's College World Series appearances. That's pretty damn good. Oh, by the way, the only person to win the USA Softball's National Player of the Year honor 3 times. That's pretty damn good. She's won an Olympic gold medal, a couple of Olympic silver medals, and I'm super excited to have her here. Drum roll, please. There's no drum rolls. I don't have those here, but Kat, why don't you come on in? Next up, Leah Amico. She's such a pal. Just, a ray of sunshine in every room she enters. From California, attended University of Arizona, set 4,212 records while she was there. She's a 3-time NCAA national champion. That's pretty damn cool. 3-time Olympic gold medalist, only one of 4 women to ever do that. That's pretty damn awesome too. And everybody, if you want to join her, she's going to Hawaii next month. Leah, join us. Batting third, this is the power role here, Michele Smith. And Michele also, also from New Jersey, but no one else is from Jersey. So she's representing the state of New Jersey today, went to Oklahoma State University, also pitched several no-hitters. I think it was 4 no-hitters. That's pretty amazing. 2-time Olympic gold medalist. That's pretty damn cool. And became, 10 years ago, became the first woman to ever serve as a commentator for a nationally televised Major League Baseball game. That's pretty friggin' awesome too. Michele, jump on in. And I think we got Lovie. So Lovie, come on in also. And Lovie is originally from Hawaii. Attended Arizona, appeared in 2 Women's College World Series. She's the only person in UA history to look, she hit 450 or better and hit 25 home runs. That's pretty awesome. By the way, I'm inviting all of you to play softball with my team this year. We play in New York City though, so you're gonna have to come here. But she also won an Olympic gold medal. She's won an Olympic silver medal. Come on in, Lovie. And I think we got everybody now. Yay. And Lovie will be in shortly if she can put another dollar bill on the side of her laptop, that'd be great. Get it fired up. So sincerely, I know you guys don't really do much during your days and you're not really that busy, but if you have the time, come on, man. I think our first game is in 2 weeks. There's some, good young players, and there's also a bunch of old players like me. So come in. I mean, all I want to see is for you two pitchers just to in fact, I'm going to have to pay you to do this, just to come in and just whiff 27 people and then just go. I mean, I'll give you a bunch of beer, some wings, some other stuff. And Lovie's in. Yay.
Oh my gosh. Yay.
All right, I'm going to have to use up all my Lovie questions real quick in case the computer blows up again. No, I'm just kidding. All right, but super fast. I'm going to start and in order of sort of appearance on my screen anyway. But just if I could ask each of you just to maybe do a 20-second-ish little thing about what's keeping you busy now. So maybe Kat, batting leadoff. What's keeping you busy now? But also, are you allowed to tell what you're about to be doing?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah. No, I can. So what's keeping me busy? I am a color analyst for Longhorn Network for the University of Texas softball program under the ESPN networks right now. Just started doing that this spring. And then I also am the director of softball for RBI Austin. We launched what's called the Cat Osterman Softball Academy. So we serve the underserved community. And our baseball side has had a ton of MLB players that have come back and given instruction. Bud Norris, who's on this call, is one of those that goes out there and actually helps our baseball guys. And we just haven't had that same level of instruction for softball. And so we started the academy, and I've been busy doing that since October. We just had our first successful tournament. We went 4-2 this weekend. So that was good to see the girls grow. And then the side project that my husband and I have kind of dove into, we are actually opening, Mark laughs because I'll tell you, a completely legal poker house here. Anywhere that casinos aren't legal, you can have a card house as long as the house doesn't take any of the money that's bet on the table. My husband is a avid poker player, so we have just we secured our storefront and backers, and so we are opening a poker house.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna say that's cool.
A fun new avenue to start to dive into that's not softball or sport related.
And I think she was stunned when I asked Kat, is there something where you have to how sometimes when people eat dinner now they do this thing where they put their phones in the basket and so they don't talk, right? Is this the same thing where you got the revolvers and they got to go in the basket first, before I just picture this big Western saloon and the door is opening like this, and then it's not gonna be like that, right?
No. It'll be hopefully a little bit tamer than the Westerns of old.
All right, cool. Leah, how about yourself?
Yeah, I'm in Southern California and I do a little bit of everything. I'm a mom of 3 boys, but they're getting older. My youngest is 14 and 2 are in high school and the other one's out of high school. But I travel. I am a professional speaker. I've been doing that for over 20 years. I do a little bit of commentating at the Women's College World Series with Westwood One Radio. And I do some softball clinics where Mark was talking. I'm going to be in Maui doing a clinic in a month. And so I do softball clinics all over, as well as, again, just a lot of different speaking engagements. I'll be in, Central Cal this weekend, Orlando next week, and Indiana speaking the week after. So just lots of travel with that.
Wow. Awesome. Well done. Michele. Hey, let's keep.
I am an ESPN analyst, and I do a lot of different things. Sit on quite a few charity boards, and I got into commercial real estate. So I have had a couple of small hotels in Treasure Island, Florida, a wedding event space, corporate meeting space in Madeira Beach, which is 3 miles from Treasure Island. And so I just like to take old buildings and give them new life, I guess you could say. So that's what I do off the softball field.
Now, I said that I thought it'd be pretty cool to get a picture of you swinging a sledgehammer. Everyone else wants a picture of you at the mic at ESPN or doing softball-y stuff, but me, That'd be real badass. Let's swing a sledgehammer. Come on.
Demo is very cleansing when you get something apart.
She does. She has pictures and they're pretty awesome. Like I love her sharing her like progress and what she's done. It's amazing.
I know, and congrats on that. And then also the wedding business. Wait, was it you, Kat, or somebody was saying that you've referred people to it already?
Well,
Or
some
Lovie?
of all of us were teammates with Kelly Kretschmann, and yeah, I believe they're using your venue, aren't they, Michele?
Yes, it's very cool.
Nice.
It means the world.
Awesome.
And everyone's like, oh, I know something in Florida if you're going to Florida. So we have a lot of destination weddings in this area. So it's fun for people to be able to come in and to be able to, host their special day. And I think the reason that I kind of got into that business was because I think back to our Olympic moments and how special it was, like opening ceremonies. And so I think I wanted to help people emulate and have their own
Oh.
She'll finish her statement shortly. Well, Lovie, talk to me. So, I mean, I love what you're doing, and I'm going to thank you in advance for doing it. But go ahead and tell everybody what keeps you busy.
So I'm a mom of 2, and I'm also an engineer firefighter for the City of Riverside Fire Department. I obviously do that year round. I'm on leave right now because I just had my second in June, and she was 3 months early, so came at 28 weeks. So
Wow.
been pretty busy with that. She has therapy, 2, 3, sometimes 4 times a week. And then my oldest daughter, who's 8, I'm busy coaching her little baseball 8U league team. So that's pretty much what I do all day and every day.
So I'm going to ask the 3 of you, and then when Michele comes back, she'll come back. You've all coached. How do you guys deal with the parent who thinks they know everything? I'll start with you, Lovie, because you were just saying you coach the 8.
I think you just have to be upfront before anything starts. Transparent as a coach, like what you're looking for as a coach to do for the season. Obviously, an 8 and under with my daughter's baseball team, everyone's gonna have to play. We have to follow rules in the rule book. Everyone has to play. Somebody has to sit out. So I think just being transparent with the parents up front and letting them know what I guess the goals are for the players individually and then as a team. I mean, it's not all about winning at this age, it's all development and how much the kids want to have fun, because we lose players or even athletes, especially female athletes, by 12 years old. 60% of them fall off the scale and don't want to play anymore. So we just try to keep it fun, keep it developmental, and look to the person or look to the kid individually and just make it fun for them.
Well, why do you guys, and I'm going to ask all of you this, why do you think that, such a bigger percentage of kids are really sort of starting to avoid playing sports? Kat, what are your thoughts on it?
I mean, I think there's, and it goes to that parent who thinks they know everything, to be honest. There's an undue pressure to be perfect in sports, and sports is something where the fact that you're not perfect is what helps you grow and learn and be able to continue to strive to be better. And there's a fear of failure that comes with that, and more kids are not being able to cope with that. And I think a lot of that too goes to just the fact that in life in general, between cell phones, social media, you name it, there's a lot of instantaneous results. You want to find something out. Like, I'm sure I can speak for all of us because we had to send encyclopedias at home. If I wanted to know about something, I had to go to the encyclopedia and look it up. I didn't just type it in Google and Wikipedia brought it up. And kids these days just can get the answers right at their fingertips. And there's not a quick answer like that to sports. You have to work hard at it, and you have to continue to sometimes not see success before it really just bursts before your eyes. And, I think that prolonged process is something that they're not necessarily equipped to deal with, as I feel like we might have been as younger ages, just because we had to work for everything. We had to work for we had to still go look in the card catalog at the library. I mean, everything you wanted, you had to go do multiple steps to get to. It wasn't, let me type in a question and here's my answers.
Leah, what do you think of that?
Yeah, I agree. Like instant gratification, and I think feelings, and I think emotional, and I think that's like part of what drove us as athletes was like that challenge. And it almost like that, like you see those people that like are like, oh, I'm going to figure out a way and I'm going to find a way to do this. But then you see other people that, and that fear of failure. I think potentially, I don't know, you hear a lot. It could be just everybody seeing everybody else's highlight reels on social media, and immediately can make you feel like you're that much further down than maybe in the past we were, because ours all happened out on the field and it was hard enough, right? But now everything's more visible. So I think it could potentially be that. And I think just as coaches, I think that key then is to not only think about the physical, right? In the past, like it was just physical and you can run them harder and, and try to, maybe use I don't know, just hard stuff like sprints to, turn things around. Right. And now I think almost like the teaching becomes so much more important. And I don't know, Michele obviously calls games from coaches around the entire country. And Kat also was in the college game for a while as well. But it almost, in my mind, it almost feels like how much more that is, as opposed to like, just do it because I said it. It's like, here's why, let's do this. Here's, how it's going to benefit you type of a thing.
That's a great point. And some of the concern also is that with kids now, as you're saying, Kat, a second ago, there's so much at their fingertips, but also I feel that they need to be stimulated so much more. And the game of baseball, Major League Baseball, especially is sometimes seen as a very slow sport, and it takes a while. There's time between pitches. And for older fans, we love the nuance of it and so forth, but some of the younger kids, they need to be constantly stimulated. Now, I think women's softball is, to me, a faster game for sure than men's baseball. But what do you think, Michele? I'll start with you. Do you have any ideas of something that could maybe create more interest in the sport for our for the youth?
So more interest in the sport. I think baseball and softball, I always like to categorize them as the diamond sports. I think a lot of that just comes from getting kids to be involved, get them outside playing, inside playing with their thumbs, and getting them to be involved with their parents. I think there's that relationship where kids a lot of times will associate play and time, attention with love. So the more that you can play with your children, and as adults, it's very important to play as well, for obviously many different reasons. But I think the more that we can get the adults teaching the kids fall in love with the game, then they become lifers. It doesn't always have to be competitive. And so I think that therein lies the challenge a lot of times for coaches at every different level, is that you have to have the right players at the right skill set and the right competitive level. If you have kids that like the game but don't love the game, and they're trying to be in an ultra competitive environment, it's not going to be healthy. And so I think that it's really trying to plug the right youth into the right model, where it's okay to have leagues where kids go out and play and have fun. It's not all about winning. And then, of course, there's leagues where it is more competitive and it is about scholarships and NIL and all different, going on to be Olympian. So I think that there's a lot of different diverse ways, but we got to put the right people in the right buckets. And I think once you do that, then everybody's set up for success. Instead of shortcomings, we have everybody happy and plugged into the right spot.
That's great. It's interesting. My son, he's now in college, but he played that competitive travel baseball and so forth. And I think there's a point where there's probably too many parents that are sort of living, themselves through their child, and so they tend to push too hard, I think. And as you were saying a second ago, the fun goes away. And to me, there's no greater joy, even at my age, of competing, of being out there. In my case, I play softball, but I also play hockey, and I can't wait till the game starts and I'm competing. And I think that's something that is so important in so many other parts of our life, whether it's business, et cetera. And so I think that that's something we need to figure out a better way to get kids competing more, as you said, Michele, outside and away from this stuff, because it's there's maybe some room for some of that, but I don't know. I mean, Lovie, you're lucky because I'm assuming your 8-year-old is not heavy into video games yet, but who knows?
I think the more we get her out, you could tell she just wants to be outside more often. She has to do baseball 2-3 times a week sometimes, and now she's outside more and she wants to ride her bike more as opposed to being on the iPad. Granted, I fall into the trap of here's here's the iPad, like give me
Yeah.
20 minutes to myself or 30 minutes to myself, right? Especially having a newborn. But you take that thing away, they got to figure out how to play. They got to figure out what they want to do. They can't just stick onto that iPad. And then you get in that rut, you give them 30 minutes, it turns into an hour sometimes easily, and then into 2 hours. So I think we've lost the iPad for the last 2 weeks. So it's been good because she's been wanting to go outside and play. So I think it all stems obviously from the parents and what you want to do. And then sometimes parents get into the rut of having a technology in front of them, especially with once the kids get to around 7 or 8, where they're somewhat individually being able to individually function on their own. You're just like, just go do something. Because when it's her by herself, she wants to play and we have to play with her. So it's a give and take on both ends.
Gotcha. So real quick, before I forget, for everybody here on the right side, you'll see it says chat participants Q&A. If any of you have questions for any of these fantastic people, please throw them in there. Matt's got one already, which I'll ask in a few minutes. But I encourage everybody to stick questions in there versus the chat room. So if you can put it in that Q&A, that'd be great. All right, I'm going to shift gears for a little bit because you're all Olympians, and every one of you has a separate sort of Olympic moment that maybe resonates more than the others. And you know, it's funny because some people will say, oh well, the opening ceremonies or the closing ceremonies or the actual, you know, the gold medal game, the silver medal game, whatever it might be. But I'm going to ask each of you just quickly, throw at me just a quick Olympic memory. Maybe it can be something funny, like, you know, the time that you know, dump pancakes on some, you know, basketball player or something like that. Kat?
Oh, favorite. I mean, I think the favorite memory was just 04 when we won gold, and just I was in the dugout. I had Jenny on one side. I don't remember who was, Lori Harrigan probably on the other. Us pitchers. I mean, Lisa was throwing, so I think we made up most of the dugout at that point. Just lined up ready to jump the fence before the last out was even made. I mean, like at one point we were holding hands and then we were like, oh wait, we can't, we're going to kick each other if we jump the fence if we're this close. So we spaced out and we had to wait till Leah actually caught the ball. Like the ground ball goes and it's like everyone's like slowly like working their way up over the fence. And then once Leah catches it, we end up, you know, dogpiling in the middle of the field. But I was so young at that point. It was the first time in my life that I really got to see an entire process come to fruition. I mean, just being part of that team and going through the grind that we go through. Most people don't realize we're named, you know, anywhere 10, 12 months out. And then we go on like almost a 9-month tour where it's not just playing games. I mean, we're driving buses from one city to the next, and they find a soccer field in the middle of it, and we stop and do running, and then we continue on. And it's a grind. But for me at a young age, it was just so impactful to see it come to all the final fruition. And not just of being at the Olympics, but actually our entire mentality was to go over there and not just win, but dominate. And it truly unfolded that way for us.
That's amazing. So, so Lovie, I'm going to ask you this question because I know you need to jump in a second, but tell me a little bit about your Olympic experience and what was a blast.
I think just going off of what Kat said, besides, you know, winning the gold medal and hugging Lisa and then getting dogpiled on, I think the process, like when I look back on it, we had so much fun in Italy. We stayed there for a month as a team to prepare for our games and our tour that we had coming up in the States. And for us, it was just so much fun just to get to know each other better. We were kind of, you know, stuck together. Even though we were in Italy, we couldn't really go anywhere. We were at a training site. We practiced or trained every morning and every afternoon together, ate together. Pretty much were confined in an area together. And I think that was the part where I think just the process, like Kat was saying, there's just so much that goes into it that you end up enjoying that part. Maybe not while you're doing it isn't as fun, but you know it has to be done. And then afterwards you can reflect back on the process and how much it took to get to where we ended up at the Olympics.
All right, so look, I'm going to have to ask you, And I think there's the almost 20-year thing, what they call it, like statute of limitations. So I think you're okay now. But were there any, people sneaking off campus kind of thing?
No, we're all adults. Everyone knew the goals and what we wanted to do, and everyone just kind of hunkered down and did what we needed to do as a team.
Leah's like, wait, but what about that time when? No, I'm just kidding. Anyways,
don't step off. We had the one car that reported back way late. Other than that, that's what Leah's face was going on.
Yeah, that wasn't like a sneak off though. That was they went to go get food and maybe didn't make it back within 5 minutes.
A pit stop, inadvertent pit stop, flat tire. That's cool. Well, Lovie, if you have to jump, please do. I appreciate you coming in here. I know that.
Sorry about the snafu.
No worries at all. But thanks again for being here, and we're going to keep on plowing along here. But Lovie, have a great rest of your day, and thanks again, and thank you for your service as a firefighter. I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right, we'll see you in a bit. That batting next, Michele. Tell me a little bit about your Olympic experience and what really resonated with you.
Mine are unique in the sense that I remember vividly the opening ceremonies for both events and just how wonderful it was being a part of Team USA. It wasn't just the softball team; it was Team USA. It was walking into the '96 and 2000 Sydney Olympics. 96 was obviously special because it was in Atlanta and all the things. Walking down and saying like, "That's Debbie Moore." All these movie stars, marches in and the crowd erupts. Muhammad Ali lights the flame. It was special in so many different ways. And then same thing for Sydney. I think you just get this feeling when you're around all other really elite athletes. You're like, okay, this is why I've like 12 Thanksgivings. I've missed, the birth of my older sisters, 3 children. You start ticking off things that you've missed in life, that you've sacrificed and been away from for those special moments. So those definitely resonate. And I think the other one that's really weird is that in the Sydney Olympics, we struggled quite a bit. And after we played 2 tough games back to back with Japan and then China. And we ended up losing both of them. But after the China game, we had battled, like, they were such hard games, and we battled. Even though we lost games and we had so many opportunities to win, I was in some weird way super proud of the way our team never gave up. We continued to battle. Ironically enough, the very next day we lost another game. But then when we had to win, we won. And so we lost when we could. And when we had to win, we did. And we ended up coming back and beating every team that we lost to in the medal round and the gold medal. So I think that in a very compressed time frame, we kind of rode the roller coaster of living in an Olympic nightmare, and now here's our Olympic dream. It was a lot of up originally, and then it was a really big down, but we didn't stay down. We came together as a team and figured out a win. And so I think those are the events that resonate the most with my Olympic experience.
That's amazing. That's and it's funny because when you're in the middle of it, it's sort of like a wedding or something. When you're in the middle of it, it just seems to go by like that. And then afterwards, you're like, wait, did that just happen? But it was incredible. Leah, tell me your experience.
Yes. First, I just have to say, like, when I hear them talk about it, like when Kat's talking about those last moments, like I literally get chills all these years later, and these are my teammates. And I just love that we all experienced it together, yet we all have our, our own feelings and emotions that go with it. And, for me, I think of the very first game in the first Olympics, because I was blessed and fortunate to come at a time when people older than Michele, people that she probably played with when she was first making Team USA, who never had the opportunity to be in that experience. But her leadership and some of the others' leadership was so crucial for the athletes like myself that at that time were coming on and just seeing how high they set the bar, because, you know, in college you think, okay, we're at the top, but then you get there and you're like, whoa, this is like nothing. And so that very first game, stepping on and just knowing history was being made, and that first win to kind of get the ball rolling. And again, I was thankful for the leaders to just share that information with the younger athletes, because I just, you know, I wanted to know that. I wanted to learn. Michele's leadership helped me to be able to continue and play and try to be that type of a leader when Kat came along, you know, and the other teammates. And then I think of my last Olympics as well. I would say the gold medal game in the 2004 Olympics, because I knew for me, like, I was going to be retiring. And like they talked about, it's the journey. It's not about that moment. But I can remember the morning of that gold medal game, some of us walking around the Olympic Village, going to get some food. Again, at this point, we're undefeated, but it all comes down to this one game, because we beat Japan in the 2000 Olympics after losing 3 games, like Michele said, when we needed to. And they were undefeated, but then they lost and we got the gold. So that actually ended up happening in the 2008 Olympics as well. So anyways, with that being said, I'll never forget Natasha Watley, our shortstop, just saying, I just want this day to be over. So you like work your whole life to get to this moment, right? And she's like, I just want this day to be over because I need to know the outcome. So, you know, we get to the field and we go, and, you know, the first inning, Crystal Bustos hits a home run, and we go up by a couple of runs. And I remember thinking, like, against Australia, I remember thinking, okay, this is going to be a fun day. We went on to win 5-1. And then on that podium afterwards, you know, same thing. I don't know. Maybe I was just hanging out with Natasha, because Natasha, there was just a couple of us left on the podium. Everybody had taken a million pictures. And I remember her saying, like, now, okay, she couldn't wait for this day to be done, but now she had it. And she said, I don't want to leave. Like, I don't want to leave the podium. Can I just sit right here? Like, stay here. And so those moments, you know, again, you dream about, you believe, you work towards, and then you get to experience it. And to me, I just think for all of us, it's those reminders of truly just enjoying those moments, whatever they look like in our lives, because, you know, then you move on, right? And it's like, okay, then that one's done, on to the next one. So I don't know. I love listening to my teammates, because I just glean from what they say all the time to this day.
That's great, because, you know, it's funny. I was just imagining someone bringing out like a pillow and a blanket to her to like stay overnight on the podium. You know, like they'll be like, well, she's not leaving, guys. What should we do? You know, well, let's bring her a pillow and blanket. Anyways, but that's a great story. Now, speaking of the podium, I guess they had to have like a special podium to put all of you on there, I'm assuming. Right. I mean, or did you all take turns, like, all, like, you know, first of all, how many players were there?
It's a long one. There's 15 of us that
15. Yeah.
can receive medals. Yeah.
So, so it wasn't like all 15 trying to fit on one, like a little.
No, they're longer for team sports. We still barely fit. I feel like we're still like side by side, but we fit on here.
No, I'm sure it was exciting, incredibly exciting. So, so you guys have these, you know, these medals. Now, I know Leah likes to rattle hers around every night. She's got them right. Go ahead, run off and get them. And so, but hers, she uses them so much. She's rubbed all the gold off, and underneath, it's actually, I don't know if you know this or not, it's not made out of. I mean, Leah, you said aluminum, but I think it's wood, right?
Silver.
I know they were like, "Hey, Jimmy, we ran out of gold. What should we do? I'll just spray paint it. Don't worry about it." No, but I think it's fantastic. So, Kat, Matt asked a question in here, and he says, and he's asking, do you think it's harder a man or anybody to hit a fast pitch softball, or a woman to hit it overhead, like a pitch like that? And I know the answer, but go ahead.
I think it's going to be harder for a man to hit fast pitch softball.
I agree.
I haven't thrown to too many baseball players. I think Michele probably has, and I know Jenny did while I was still in college, but the few I have thrown to it, it's not an easy feat. It's just a different Well, I'll just go back to my husband had to catch me once COVID hit and we went into quarantine, and I nailed him in the leg on one of the first pitches. And he was like, I'm just used to looking up here. And I knew you were still throwing overhand, but I was looking up here. And so it's a different viewpoint.
I mean, the athleticism is really incredible. And I think sometimes it gets lost in the story across the board. And I mean, in the last, just recently, I've been seeing some incredible catches by outfielders that go diving over the fences. And I mean, the athleticism is amazing. So with that said, with the professional leagues and so forth, I mean, what needs to happen to get it more mainstream? Michele, I'll ask you that because you're with the network and so forth. How can we get more eyeballs on it, do you think, on the sport?
So we're very fortunate. Our sport is very friendly, I guess you could say, to the television market. So, for example, we had a game on ESPN in February, and it was UCLA Florida State. It was a Sunday evening game, and we were the highest rated show, and any day, anything else that day. So, like, by a large margin, and it wasn't even really like technically softball, right? It's still basketball season. So it shows, like, we'll go up against in the Women's College World Series, we'll go up against Yankees Boston MLB game, and we will outrate them. So they would take us from ESPN to put us on ESPN. This Women's College World Series will be a little bit of a different format. We're actually going to have some AC windows, so it's really exciting to see where our sport is going, and just the dedication, the investment, because people realize how well it does, how well it shows, and how many young women love to play the sport. Obviously, they're watching, but even outside people that don't play the sport, how compelled they are with the sport. You know, just how great the athletes are. So it's wonderful to be a part of that. And just aside to kind of go back about the harder to hit, baseball, softball, is that unfortunately we lost a legend in our game, Joan Joyce, this past weekend. She passed away March 27th. She actually threw to Hank Aaron and to Ted Williams. And so Hank Aaron, she struck both of them out. He was the leading home run hitter for a long time, so Barry Bonds broke that record, and and Ted Williams was the last hitter in Major League Baseball to hit over 400. It was 406 and maybe 1941. I can't remember exactly what year it was, but the point is that these were two exceptional MLB hitters, and she struck them out. So, out for a times cat knows, she's thrown against plenty of men. And that's the fun of it. Is almost fair for them because they're trained at 60 feet 6 inches, more thrown 40 feet. So it's pretty incredible. But I think it's compelling. People love to watch it, and I think that the U.S. we're finally educated that it's okay to watch women team sports. And it's really great to see that kind of explode in front of us. It's the 50th year of Title IX. So obviously a very important year, and it's also the 40th year of Women's College World Series. So come June, you got to drive on ESPN.
All right, so I'm gonna have a groundbreaking question right here, or not, but so we've seen recently women getting into professional Major League Baseball in managerial roles and GM roles and so forth, which is fantastic. But I want to know, when can men play women's softball? I'm just asking for a friend. Was that a bad question? All right, I'll move on then. But I kind of I feel like it'd be kind of cool to see if there are guys that could hack it or not. Maybe there are a couple that could, but I don't know. All right, so anyway, Dahlia's got a question. You're all trailblazers for softball and women in sports and are involved in such exciting ventures off the diamond. How do you balance your second careers and having a family and devoting time to both?
Leah, you've been doing it longer. You can take it first.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was talking in one of the rooms just a little bit about how for me it's so much about priorities and really like lining those up. And I was a homeschool mom for 13 years until this year, but I did a lot of things on the side. And so I think just kind of finding what everybody's a little different, right? Everybody's family, you prioritize differently and what matters. And right now my boys are going to high school, and so even that I'm trying to juggle and make sure, like with my travel schedule and different things, I travel quite a bit, that I can be there. I was able to see all my son's football games in the fall, so some of the things I told the guy, hey, I might be able to come on Friday night, but if they make playoffs, I'm coming on Saturday instead for your event. So just trying to juggle that for me, because it really does go so fast, and I've found that it is doable for sure. We have to say no, but when we competed as in the Olympics and for Team USA, there are a lot of things we had to say no to. So I really have to figure out, I think, choosing what is best as opposed to what is just good, and being wise with my time. I'd say that's how I do that. But I wanted to say something really quick, Mark, with the whole men's thing, because there is men's fast pitch. And let me tell you, we would watch when we go to Olympic festivals back in the day, or when we go to Pan American games, the men's game is amazing. It is so fast. It's a lot of former, baseball players. And, again, we think our balls move a ton, like, they just have, stronger, grip strength, and they can spin this ball. They're only 3 feet further when they're pitching against hitters compared to what the women play at. And so it is just unbelievable. Their bases are short also. And so anyways, I'm sure the others could speak to that, but just so you know, you got to watch some men's fast pitch.
Jeez. All right. No, thanks, actually. That's a great. Michele, jump in. And, what was, with, how do you balance everything?
It's hard. Like today, it was a game last night in Fayetteville, and so by the time you want to get to bed and pack, it's midnight. I'm up at 4 for a flight from Fayetteville to Atlanta, back to Tampa. I land. We have an ESPN call. We tape a podcast. I mean, it's a lot of long days, but this time of year, it's just to be expected. So you put your head down and you rest when you can, and you do what you need to do to get through it. And I think a lot of it too is your focus and your mentality. So you just stay on point. You figure out what it is you need to do to get through what your task at hand is, and once you get through, one item and you can check it off your list, it goes behind you, and you can then start focusing on more tasks down the road. So for me, I think a lot of it is just perspective and understanding how to better use my time for what I need to at the moment, and prepare ahead of time for the things that I need to, that I know are going to take me more time coming up in the future. And then, using time wisely on the plane, whether or not it's studying, reading, sometimes it's sleeping because I am tired. So I think it's a lot of different things, but I think a lot of it's your energy. You can bring your energy every day to what you're really passionate about. And if you're not bringing your energy, maybe you're in the wrong business. So I think a lot of it too is just understanding where you're at and what you need to do to get through it. And if you are passionate about what you're doing, I feel like there's always a way that you can find that energy.
That's really good. So Kat, if you could maybe follow up on that a little bit, but then also part 2 is never mind. I'm going to skip to part 2. Part 2 is going to be, if you could give advice to some of the women that are playing today about, what they should be doing to maybe prepare for their time once they have to retire, what kind of advice would you give them?
Well, I think, one, always be willing to ask questions to others that have already done that. I was fortunate that I played with some amazing women who were leaving the game when I was entering it. Leah talks about retiring when I was relatively new on the national team, and it's overstated or overskipped a lot. My door to the national team actually opened, in my opinion, because Michele decided to be done with the national team. I don't think I make the 04 team if she's still playing. So that opportunity was given to me because of that. And, you know, even as an athlete, she was the big left-handed pitcher of the United States national team. It's who I wanted to be like, and sought out an opportunity to meet her and work with her as an athlete. And I think it's the same as you transition, is find the people who have either done it with the career path you want to do, or just that have done it successfully, and how did they find what their passion was. And then at the same time right now, I think it's a little bit different with social media and so much access to things because of cell phones and just the internet and World Wide Web. And, you know, not everyone's having to listen to AOL dial up anymore. You know, there's so much access, is find what you are passionate about, and can you make a career out of it? And if so, it's not necessarily start trying to do that while you're playing, but just start trying to put your ducks in a row of figure out who you should talk to say, hey, I am interested in this. I still want to play as long as I can. What can I do in the meantime? You know, to be honest, commentating was not something that was like on my radar when I was playing college softball. I mean, we had some games on TV, obviously way more now than then. But when I got the opportunity, it ended up being fun. And I went back to playing. I actually went to college coaching, so I had to step away from it for a little while. But now just being able to listen to Michele and Amanda and some of these analysts that have been doing it for a long time, and trying to learn, and then being able to ask questions. But I think the biggest thing is not being afraid to ask questions. And a lot of times, I think as athletes, we feel like we should know everything. Like people are like, oh, well, you've played at this high level. I know a lot about pitching and a lot about softball. It doesn't mean I know a lot about what I'm supposed to sound like on air, or how I'm supposed to time things, or things like that. And so just being vulnerable to ask the questions that, you know, go be a sponge, just like we were when we were 12, 13, trying to learn how to be really good athletes, is, you know, just at a different stage of your career, in a new career, be a sponge and ask questions, and just connect as much as you can.
Well, you know, one of the things that when I work with athletes, helping them with that transition, you know, one of the things that they often say is they regret not having made more connections while they're still playing, because when you're playing, you get exposed to a variety of people that you may not be when you're out of the game. And so I think what's so important is, if you're traveling, you know, with your team, or, you know, there's always an opportunity to do certain things or meet certain people in these different cities, or even in your home city, and just take advantage of the opportunities you're given as a player currently, to be able to meet some people that can really have a positive impact on you once you leave the sport. And I think there's a tendency to, when you're a current athlete, to want to really sort of enjoy your time while you're training and so forth. But it's just a few minutes a day here and there that I think can really make such a huge difference once you leave your sport. So Leah, how about yourself with that? Like, what kind of advice would you offer the current athletes?
Yeah, I love in the chat that Kyle wrote, you know, that somebody said, do everything with passion and purpose. And this is what I look back at a lot of my life, and Kat kind of is alluding to this as well. But I heard a statement only a couple years ago, and it was about how somebody said, don't just go after your passions, go after the opportunities, or like go for the opportunities that come before you, because you might find new passions. And Kat talking about that, you know, again, I did a little bit of commentating as well through the years. Michele, you know, obviously does it full time and at a really high level. But to me, I feel like through the years, like different opportunities that would come, I would say yes to. It would take me out of my comfort zone. It would challenge me. I found some things, nope, that is not for me. Other things, okay, let me see a little bit more about this. And I do think ultimately, though, like stepping back for a minute and then saying, what do I want my life to look like? Where do I want to end up? And then you almost can work backwards. Again, you might be having to take different opportunities. Some people have more flexibility depending on your position and your financial situation. But at the end of the day, like ultimately there should be purpose in what we do. And in general, I'm just a big believer. Like, I think you can be passionate as well. Everybody shows their passion differently, but I really do think like when you're passionate about excellence and passionate about the people around you and how you're going to work together with them. And that's the other biggest thing that I would say, like Kat said, asking and really reaching out and being willing to do that. Again, that takes a lot of people out of your comfort zone. I know myself as well. But what I have found is people are so just kind and generous with their wisdom and what they've learned, and they will pass it along. And it's helped me to kind of like think, what do I want to do more of now that I'm kind of even in a new season of life?
Oh, that's a great answer. Thanks, Leah. Yeah, of
Quick?
course.
Well, first off, Kat, superstar since the second she started playing softball, so that's number one. Number two is, as all of us, the three of us know from the amount of broadcasting that we have done, there is now there's a book, but a while ago there was not a book, and it was just like your coaching advice was just, you know, the sport of softball. This is what people would tell us. You know the sport of softball. Just say what you see. And that was it. That was the coaching advice you got to be an analyst. There were times that I would leave the games, and at that, 20 years ago, we might only be doing 8 or 10 games a year. I'd get off when the game was over. I'd be like, "That's it. I'm never doing it again." I was a pre-med major. I was, science and all about the human body, and had no idea how to do anything in journalism. So I think exactly what Kat said as well, that you have to, people might look at you and think, oh, well, because you know softball, you know exactly what you're doing. And broadcasting is a whole different language, like what they're saying in your ear and the amount of information you're getting. It's literally like when I get off air, sometimes it's like running a marathon because there's so much stimulation and you're trying to direct that traffic so that what goes, out the air and comes into the, someone's television set in their home, it actually makes sense. But, if you look at a live production behind the scenes, it is a lot of chaos. You have to be comfortable in that moment of chaos. You have to be comfortable in that moment of being uncomfortable. And so, it's like it's anything that you do, it's reps. But I think what's most important is you have that open mindset, and it's okay to say to people, I don't understand what's going on here. And people will absolutely help you. And I know that was a huge part of my broadcasting career because I had no training for it.
Well, one of the things I like to say is that people love to give advice. They hate to help. So I always tell people, never ask for help, always ask for advice. And you're not going to find a single human on this planet that if you say, hey, Kat, I'd love to get some advice on something. It doesn't matter what I say after that. You're listening and you're fired up and you're ready to give me advice on whatever it is, right? So, I think that's what I think that's a great story and a great piece of advice from you, Michele, is that, always ask. And if you do it in a way that you sort of couch it as, geez, I'd love to get your advice on blank, the positive response is really through the roof. Leah, so Adrian asks, how has motivational speaking shaped your current life, and what motivational nugget can you give ex-players like himself on entering the field of motivating speakers?
Yeah, I think there's a couple things. I think I think first and foremost, you need to figure out what makes you, like, what do you bring to the table? It's like when I played with my teammates, right? Every one of us were so different. And if I tried to play, like one of them, I probably couldn't have played as well. And I immediately, when I kind of felt this passion and desire to go speak, I was reading all these books. And I remember thinking like, I was going to like try to be funny because I love when people are funny. And then I'm like thinking I'm going to sound so dumb because like I sometimes am not on purpose funny, but I'm just not somebody who can like really land the jokes. And I'll never forget hearing somebody up speaking and they talked about someone's passion. And I was like, okay, that is me. Like that's what I like, being real and passionate and transparent. And so I went into a couple of things really quick. I went into an organization and they kind of wanted me to be able to like say this speech like over and over again from start to finish and practice in the mirror. And I like struggle with this. And I had to come to a point where I had to say, that is not who I am. Like I could try to be molded into this, but the one time I tried to do this really set speech, it was horrible, terrible. I was not authentic. And I had to just be confident to say, this is who I am. And then I can trust. And I'll tell you, like right after, I went out and gave that next talk and just spoke from my heart. I'm prepared, but I am much more of like bullet points in my head and go for it. And and literally the response to everybody that came was just what they were able to take away. And so in my mind, right? You do your preparation, know your audience. Like, to me, that is everything. Who is my audience? Because it is not about me sharing my story. I am not happy. And, unless when I walk out, like, I have left them, engaged, inspired, and ready to take action. So know your action, know what the results you're trying to get them to take away, and then know yourself. Like, stick to that. And some of that is like, you got to, soul searching, figure that out. But what I've found is that, and I've spoken with people who are big time names, and Herschel Walker went to this event. Nobody knows me. Everybody knows him. And I'm literally like dangling my medals before, trying to get people to come meet me, and everybody just going over to him. But after I spoke, like, all these people came up to me and that honestly it's okay, because they don't need to know my name, but I want them to feel, like there was a connection. And so that's just what I would encourage.
Oh my God. I can just picture you going, yoo-hoo, cling, 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 cling.
I said, oh, I'll let you wear them.
I'll pay you to wear them. Just get over here. No, I'm kidding. So, all right, listen, I want to wrap things up with one last question for each of you, and then we're going to go back to the tables real quick. Well, first of all, I got a text from my pal Brandy Chastain, who wanted to say hi to you and say that she had great memories of being able to watch some of the softball at the Olympics. So she wanted to say hello. So anyways, now
we loved them. We were playing up in Canada the year that they won the World Cup, and we were like all as a team watching them. And then I remember riding on the bus over to opening ceremonies with the women's soccer team, and I was just so excited to meet them all. So that's awesome.
And I'm sure it was mutual. So that's pretty awesome. So my last question is this, and I'll ask each of you. I'll start with you, Kat. It's so if you couldn't play softball in the Olympics, what would you love to be an Olympian in?
Oh, that's easy. Basketball was my first love. So I was a basketball player from 3rd grade all the way through high school. Somewhere along the way, I got introduced to pitching, and I fell in love with pitching more than I did actually the whole sport of softball. So that's why I'm a pitcher only, because I didn't want to work at hitting. But yeah, basketball was my first love, and I come from a family that we live in Texas, but football is not king in our house. So I would have tried to be a basketball player easily.
All right, look, so you retired back in 2008, I think it was, and you were retired for, I don't know, like 45 years or something, and then you came back to play. Why don't we just maybe slap on the sneakers and get out on the court?
Oh, no, I don't run near as fast as I used to. Not that I was ever very fast, but no, getting up and down the court would be a lot harder these days. I did follow Michele's lead, and I am more of a cyclist, at least on my stationary bike, but I do running.
That's awesome. How about you, Michele? What would you do?
Wow, that's a good question. There are a lot of different sports, but I love cycling. I love triathlons. But I did find out after I stopped playing softball that I am a sinker and not a swimmer. It would take me, I was a decent cyclist, but I would get out of the water and it would take me almost the whole bike leg to pass everybody. And it would make me so mad that it took me like so long. That's, how behind I was. So I would say one of those. I also grew up in New Jersey, way out in the country, hunting, and did a lot of skeet shooting and bow and arrow. So I don't know. I could maybe do a lot of. I may maybe be interested in a lot of different things, but at this point, I'd say maybe cycling.
Well, you know what's funny? I don't know how many of you watched a lot of the Winter Olympics, but they seem to show the biathlon a lot. That was on, like, there was curling. Curling was 24/7. But then there was biathlon, and that to me looks pretty cool. Like and then you do the cross country skiing, and then you take the rifle out. So maybe that's one in your future, Michele. Maybe, I don't know. Yeah. Although maybe your cross country skiing days might be a little bit on pause from where you are now. Lucky you.
Yes.
All right, Leah, what about you?
For me, I would say soccer. It was my other love growing up. I mean, I loved both softball and soccer. I liked being aggressive in soccer and being able to be a little more physical than we are in softball. So, and just like that, you know, I don't know, just that competitive likeness in that area. I actually wanted to at Arizona. I had this goal when I originally got there. They had just added soccer to their, you know, sports family at Arizona. And I thought about my 5th year walking on to the soccer team, you know, because by that time I maybe still could have made it after that, probably once they started growing, no, but then I ended up, taking the year off for the Olympic team. So that was a better route, but soccer was my other love.
It's pretty funny how you suggest you like to mix it up a little bit, but a little less of that on the softball field, but that's a great answer. Good for you. All right. Well, listen, we're going to jump back to the tables in a second, but I truly appreciate you being here today. All 3 of you, all 4 of you, actually, with Lovie. And, you know, you all have such compelling stories, and we could be talking for hours and hours, but I love this format. I love the ability to, you know, be able to get all of you to engage, not just now with us, but also in a couple of minutes back with everybody else here. I'm sure they have some questions they'd love to follow up with, but thank you all. I really appreciate you being here.
Thank you.